fairly interesting question for Season 5. Where and perhaps when did the island go to?
Fate and free will versus destiny. Characters fighting for what they want in a world that wants something else from them. Now, those themes are presented in a very tangible way. When these characters travel back in time, will they accept their destiny or will they try to change it? At this point, Lost had already presented its rules of time travel. Desmond could not change the outcome of his future, even when presented with relevant information. He still set sail to the island and cannot prevent Charlie's death, only delaying its inevitability. Holistically, Lost Season 5 has the strongest narrative cohesion, presenting a grand thesis on non-linear storytelling, all with a deep plunge into time travel, complemented by a sprawling character timeline that leads up to what may be the greatest cliffhanger in television history. That's not hyperbole. Season 5 tackling time travel is the unavoidable destination as the show continued to evolve its format and firmly cements Lost's intended progress. Flashbacks, flash forwards, flashes or jumping in space and time, and then this season premiered with 2 episodes on January 21st, 2009, notably putting the show back in its original Wednesday time slot. Yet critics only referred to it as the second most important TV moment of the week, right behind the first inauguration of President Obama. You think Lost has unanswered questions? What's Obama's last name? In the opening scene, a man wakes up to his alarm at 8:15 in the morning. He puts on a record, Shotgun Willie by Willie Nelson, and he starts his day, the third such season opening to begin this way. At this point in the show, we're suspicious of where we are immediately, but all the previous opening twists make you second guess every conclusion. He's on the island. He's not on the island. He is on the island. The man has a short routine, which includes feeding his newborn baby. Shotgun Willie's gotta hold his family down. And suddenly, the record starts skipping, then repeating the same line over and over again. He calmly turns it off, leaving his house, which we quickly realize is in the middle of the Dharma Initiative's village at its height. We're decades in the past, and we've already realized we're following the star of all of John's favorite movies. Dr. Marvin, Mark, Edgar, Candle, Wickman, Hallowell. I'm only now cluing into the fact that his pseudonyms have this Candlewick, Candlewax pun. I don't know why. Maybe because the Dharma Initiative eventually burns out. But someone barges through the door addressing him by his real name.
Dr. Chang?
Dr. Chang is needed at the Orchid Station. When he arrives, it's still under construction. Deep tunnels have been drilled to access the anomaly that will move the island. The anomaly which could destroy the island and perhaps the world. Their LiDAR scans reveal the frozen wheel embedded deep within the geology of the island. The crew wants to detonate some blasts to open the corridor, but Chang sees this man who has died of a familiar nosebleed. It is too dangerous to blow up the energy.
Under no circumstances.
And then he confirms to this random worker that they need to access this energy to move through time, travel through time.
It's going to allow us to manipulate time.
He tells them to continue drilling, but then on his way out, he bumps into someone too awkward to stand up for himself. He bumps into Daniel Faraday. Out of place and out of time. Chang continues walking, having no idea of the significance of who we just ran into. The 5th season does us a favor and quickly satisfies our curiosity about the fate of those who were left behind, while simultaneously showing the pieces of the Oceanic Six's fated return to the island fall into place. Ben has found Jack as a hollow version of his former self, making him susceptible to Ben's instructions. He says they have to bring everyone back. The two of them arrive in a motel where Jack shaves his beard that he's grown while stranded off of the island. He starts to feel purpose again. Ben has taken John's body from the funeral home, and the two are still both feeling the impact of his death. Ben explains they last saw each other under the greenhouse, under the orchid. Ben claims he has no idea what happened to John or anyone else after the island moved. But you know who gets to find out? You.
They won't know, but you will. Lucky you.
3 years earlier on the island, Ben has just turned the wheel. The light flares up and dies back down, but instead of having the perspective of the island disappearing, we're still there. And everything seems to be the same. The island is still here. Daniel, just offshore, watches from the Zodiac boat. He claims they were in the radius of the Flash. He arrives on shore where everyone is confused. The beach camp has disappeared. Sawyer runs out of the tree line with no shoes, no shirt, and no shits given. Daniel is too stressed to offer an explanation about the time travel, but Sawyer demands an explanation. A demand for an explanation so strong they did reshoots after the episode was done to fit it in.
For me to try to explain whatever's happening.
Oi!
This is really one of the rare circumstances where we actually went back and we reshot some material for this episode.
Think of the island like a record, spinning on a turntable.
Sawyer is the proxy for the audience right now. He is basically demanding an explanation and a shirt later on.
And
he gets neither.
Whatever Ben Linus did down at the Orchid Station, it may have dislodged us.
Dislodged us from what?
Time.
It is the proxy for the audience who basically is like, this is ridiculous. You can't time travel, Damon.
So that's why our camp is gone. Because the island is moving through time.
Yeah, either the island is, or we are.
What?
So we thought, as sort of an antidote to that, we would just have Sawyer without his shirt on for the entire episode.
They've skipped through time just as John had taken his place as the leader of the others. But once the flash of light is gone, he's found himself alone all over again, with no one to tell him what to do. A small bit of irony for somebody who's always yelling, "Don't tell me what I can't do." Anyone! John's screams are awesome. Do you miss your immortal advisor, Richard, John? You can admit it. John starts to clue in about the time travel when he sees the yellow Beechcraft fly over his head. He'll discover it later in time during the events of season 1, but once again, he finds himself at its crash site, at the same cliff he was once unable to climb. Can he do it this time? John is quickly shot and falls to the ground where he sees the walking calendar himself, Ethan. But who is he?
Your name is Ethan.
Well, he's alive, so this must be before he died, toward the beginning of the series. As Ethan confronts him, John knows he's in the past for sure. John wants to convince Ethan